The winter chill has set in, and with it, birding takes a turn for the water. Ducks and gulls are the birds of choice during these shorter days, and it's one group of ducks in particular that I'm interested in having a look at, the Aythya diving ducks. You may be familiar with the more common tufted duck, or perhaps even the lovely russety tones of the pochard, but there's a whole host of other Aythya waiting out there to confuse you.
In this video, I take a dabble into diving ducks, providing a beginner's guide to birds in the genus Aythya, spelt Aythya, in the form of a glorified PowerPoint presentation. So, without further ado, let's dive in.
Let's begin with the basics. For the simplicity of this video, we've split these birds into two categories, black and white males and red-headed males. And we're going to start, much like cinema did, in black and white.
Welcome to Helston Boating Lake, famous for its incredibly inaccurate info sign, walking distance little, and, in winter, generating a couple of rare diving ducks. Most of the ducks here today, however, are instead tufted ducks, a much more common Aythya species.
Tufties, as they're affectionately known, are stunners. They're a black bird with large white patches on each side, a black tip to their blue-grey bill, and a titular tuft planted on the top of their iridescent head.
Tufties, and all of the Aythya we're going to meet today, dive for their food. They eat everything from underwater invertebrates to leftover porridge oats floating in the water.
And for anyone complaining about me feeding these birds porridge oats, I hate to actually you, but that very accurate sign over there said it's okay, and also I found a bunch of online articles that back that up as well, from trustworthy sources. So I'm going to keep feeding them porridge oats. There are three other black and white males that you can see during the winter here in the UK, and they all look pretty similar to the tufty. I've got pictures of all of them here.
Where else to begin, of course, than with the greater scorp? Key ID features for this brute include its massive head, a grey back with stripes, also known as vermiculations, and limited black on the bill, often referred to as a nail. The greater scorp is notably larger than a tufty, in contrast to the lesser scorp, which is smaller than our tufted friend. Its key ID features are very similar to the greater of the two scorps. It's got a grey back with vermiculations, although they're a lot more pronounced in the lesser. A steep forehead, ending in a bump, although I personally don't really see the bump. And it's also got the nail on the end of the bill, as seen in this picture.
You're much more likely to encounter a greater scorp here in the UK, as they have various European populations, whereas the lesser scorp has to get here all the way from America. But if you do find one, they're very likely to be in with other tufted ducks, or perhaps some of the red-headed birds we'll be meeting later.
The ringneck duck male is a stonker. It's got a distinctive head shape, a white ring on the bill, with extensive black on the tip, as well as a protruding tail. They've also got a grey side, in contrast to the other black and white males, where this is often just white. In the ringneck duck, this is punctuated by a lovely white spur at the front, which is apparent even at great distances.
These are also American vagrants, but are a lot more common than the lesser scorps. This is possibly because they're a lot easier to pick out from a lineup. But hopefully this video is going to go some way in changing those statistics.
While filming, this pair of lesser scaup turned up at the boating lake, but as you can see, one of them doesn't look quite as I've described.
And that's because it's very rare that we get a male in the full adult plumage here in the UK. More often than not, the birds will be eclipsing, so between their summer and winter plumage, first winter males, or female birds, all of which are brown. For the sake of this video not being an hour and a half long, I'm only going to go over the females now, but I'm going to emphasise the features that apply to all ages and sexes. And this, my friends, is where the fun begins.
Female tufties can be tufted, but all have a small head, light build, and a dark back contrasting with their lighter sides, a little bit like a muted version of the male. Female greater scaup has the same distinctive head shape of the male, a lighter back, and the black nail on the bill, as well as extensive white on the front of their face, although bear in mind some female tufties can have white faces, so be warned. Lesser scaup also has a white face, a lighter back and a black nail. It also has the same head shape as the male of the species, with its steep forehead, ending in a supposed bump. An additional feature for the lesser scaup is its wing bar, which applies to all ages and sexes. This, when seen in flight, is a clear white and grey, with white on the inside and grey on the out. The ringneck duck female maintains the strong white stripe on the bill. It's also got the white spur of the male, although this is much less apparent. She also has a clearly protruding tail, and to be honest, she looks like a much different bird from the other black and white females.
In fact, this bird is much more often confused with the Technicolor Aythyas, which are a whole new cavalcade of characters. So let's start with those birds that you may confuse with the female ringneck duck.
So here's the female ringneck duck alike, and she's a female pochard. The key feature here is her massive bill, but she's also got a grey back and sides. A bit of a muted version of this. The male pochard, who has a grey striped beak with a black end, mirroring a body of grey bookended with black. The redhead is a bit of a variation on the pochard, while looking a bit more like a generic duck, with a steep forehead and a white band on their much smaller bill. The female redhead defies the rule of being similar to the male. She's brown all over, with no sign of the male body pattern. But look at the bill and the build, and the similarities become apparent. The canvas back has a huge black bill, and black leaching onto the face. The female is once again much like the male, but with more muted colours.
You're unlikely to see canvasbacks or redheads here in the UK, because they're also vagrants from old Yankee land. But, just in case, there you go.
The ferruginous duck, lovingly called the fudge, is a beauty. Coming across from mainland Europe, these birds are a lovely fudgy red on the sides and head, with dark backs and a peaked head. The males and females look similar, but the female has a much darker bill with dark eyes. The clear indicator of a fudge isn't its fudgy colour, but its lovely white undertail.
Wow! Wow, what a bird! And that picture was taken right here on Helston Boating Lake. But there's a sad thing about this bird. It's not a genuine vagrant. It hasn't hopped over from Europe. In fact, it's an escapee. You see, the problem with fudge ducks is they look so nice. People like to keep them in collections. and often they get out, and this is the case with several other Aythya birds. So it's very important when you're looking out for these rare Aythyas to look out for clipped wings and leg rings. That's clipped wings and leg rings. So look, I know that's quite a lot, and I didn't even go into first winters or hybrids. But if you're struggling with a picture of an Aythya bird and you can't quite push it one way or another, there's something pretty simple you can do, and that's share it. There's a ton of birders out there who've committed most of their lives to these obscure Aythya birds, and they love nothing more than poring over pictures of some mucky first winter duck at an inland reservoir somewhere, trying to push it more tufty or more pochard. And with that, I leave you. Hopefully for not quite as long as last time. I'm off to Lidl, because all this ducking's done my head in, and the chocolate cronut is calling my name.